You are listening to the Game Like Training Podcast, where we talk about golf practice, golf learning, and golf psychology. On this show, we are going to be sharing our thoughts and our beliefs that have come from over a decade of being in the industry. Not only that, but we'll be talking to industry leaders, world-renowned academics, and pioneering professionals to bring you the most up-to-date information and evidence-based strategies to improve your game or your coaching. Hi, I'm one of your hosts, Eric Zeigel.
And I'm your co-host, Iain Highfield. And to get started, I just want to say we love golf and we love helping people. That combined has driven us to create this podcast. There's so much good information out there that we believe it's our responsibility to share that information with as many people as we can. So, if you tune into the podcast and you like it, please share it, leave a comment, leave an honest review, and let us know any other topics that you want us to cover.
Cool. So, Iain, you've been gone now for a couple weeks. We've missed you here at GLT home base.
Of course.
It's actually been nice and quiet since you've been gone. But so you were away in England, and I know we saw some cool social media posts coming from you at a European tour event. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the first thing I can tell you is the event was in Scotland.
Yeah, but it was a European tour event.
Okay.
And you were in England.
I was in England.
At
I
some
went
point.
to England, actually, I went to the Belfry. Saw a great junior coach there called Phil Akers. Spent a little bit of time with David Colclough, head of the PGA. A little bit of time with family and friends. And then, off to the Alfred Dunhill to support a player there. Help them prepare for the pressures and the stresses of playing on the European tour when your card's on the line. So it was good fun and I learned a lot. It was good.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, because we've had some obviously discussions prior to this, and it's always cool hearing about your experiences when you come back from those events. So tell us a little bit about, I guess, your takeaways from the event, and maybe a little bit about what you did while you were there.
Yeah, so the event is probably the European Tour's equivalent to the Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
Yeah, okay.
So it's hosted by a South African gentleman called Johan Rupert, who owns Leopard Creek.
That's not bad.
He's kind of wealthy.
Got a little money there.
And what he did was, I think about 18 years ago, he decided he was sponsoring just standard events, and he decided he wanted to create this experience. So the way that this tournament's done is you play two professionals and two amateurs, and they're basically partners. Mm-hmm. And what happens is on the Wednesday night, there's this big cocktail party, and they pull a string and a sheet falls down, and the pro and amateur find out who they're paired with. Yeah.
So it's a fun event from a social standpoint as well as
absolutely. I mean,
chance to win some money.
Yeah, mainly the amateurs are extremely wealthy businessmen, or they are ex-sportsmen, ex-athletes. So what was really cool for me, and I think takeaways for the listeners that play golf that want to improve, watching the amateurs and the pros in the practice round, there's just a vast difference in how they go about their business.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe that one bit.
Yeah. So most of the amateurs play for score.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
I think we talked about a podcast with that a little while ago.
They put to the hole.
Yep.
And they don't really take any notes. They're not actually really preparing for the tournament. They're just having fun on the golf course, which there's nothing wrong with, right? It depends on your goals. But anyone that is a keen golfer should maybe model what the professionals do. So the pros will hit their tee shot And especially the professional I was with, him and his caddy, once they got to the ball, if it was a decent tee shot, they would detail where the wind was, how far the ball's gone, what that left them to the green, and they're really just getting as much information as they can. A lot of the times they actually looked back behind them and looked if the tee shot looked any different.
From that perspective.
Yeah,
playing links golf too, it can look totally different.
Well, that's the crazy one, and that's what they take into account. They start talking, do you think it hit, because one of the drives downwind went like 397, and it actually blitzed past the 2 fairway bunkers bunkers that they were trying to lay up short of.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so they started talking, if it hit that downslope, it was just the downslope that took it there, but if it didn't hit the downslope, what are we going to hit? And in links golf, there is a lot of guesswork. But what they're trying to do, what the pros are really trying to do, is give themselves the best chance, especially on Carnoustie, because this tournament's actually played over 3 courses. So it was St Andrews Old Course, Carnoustie, and Kingsbarn. Carnoustie definitely the most demanding course. And especially on Carnoustie with the pothole bunkers, they're really, yes, there's an element of luck, but they're really trying to take as much information as they can to give them the best chance of when they step on the tee in competition, that they can think back, have a mental representation of what happened in the practice round, and then adjust to the conditions. On the greens, again, they're not putting to the hole. They're putting to where they think the hole is going to be, and they put this down and put to a tee. Actually, on the par 3s, they didn't even hit to the hole. They hit to where they thought the pin was going to be to see how the ball reacted. So the professional was just a lot more specific in their preparation. Getting ready for the actual tournament play. So that was the first thing that really, well, apart from ball striking,
Right. Yeah.
that was the first thing that really stood out. And then the second one that was really interesting was on the range after. You can see that the professional, I was fortunate enough to spend some time next to Matt Wallace, and I know Lee Cromblehome, who's his mental performance coach, and I had a quick chat with Lee, and Lee's actually going to come on the podcast in the coming weeks, hopefully. But I was listening to what they were doing, and they were hitting specific shots with the hybrid for specific holes that go a specific distance to take pothole bunkers out of play, and actually they were working on flight. So that was very specific to the needs of the course for the next day, where there was another amateur that I've met before. So I was having a conversation with him, and he was hitting the same club to the same target, just trying to build up what he would say is confidence, what we might say would be false confidence.
Right.
The pro that I was with, Carnoustie, I think there was 3 or 4 tee shots where the wind was off the left, and you had to basically aim out of bounds. Now, the guys I was with has been scarred a little bit with left going left this year.
Yeah. I know that shot.
Me too. And he has, he's seen TaylorMade. He's got the new TaylorMade driver, and they've done their thing to try and help with that, and that definitely played a part in it, but he just wasn't confident with the shot. So on the course, we got him coming a little bit more to the right hand side of the tee box, which actually forced him to aim more left, but that helped him a little bit get the shape.
Feel like he had a little more room.
Yeah. And then the thing that we were, because the outcome of the shot was he was pushing it right and it was fading.
Yep.
So he came to the right side of the tee box to help with the
start it left.
and then get
Bring
the
it back.
fade, and that worked. But he only got 1 or 2 reps of that in the practice round, because we only made that adjustment towards the back end of the round, actually on the 18th at Carnoustie. So what we then did was we set up the range. We came to the far left of the range. We set an out of bounds parameter. We created a fake tee box. We made him tee up to the right hand side of the tee box, and we made him pound the driver down the out of bounds line and work it back. And he actually began to hit it very good shots. It became a little easy after 3 balls.
Mm-hmm.
He was sort of in flow. So what we then did was we asked him to hit a flighted pitch shot into the wind, because that was something else he talked about in the practice round. Into the wind, not quite getting the trajectory that he wanted. So we hit diagonally across the range that way, so he's more straight into the wind with his pitch shots and just working on distance. And in the end, we went driver, pitch shot, just 10 balls. We actually set the trackman up for the driver as well. So it was cool for him to get not data, but data specific to that one shot that he wanted. So yeah, again, I guess 2 of the major differences were the way that the pros conducted themselves in the practice round, and then how specific they were on the range.
Yeah, and I think that's something that is grossly overlooked, how specific these guys are with what they do, not just in a practice round, but like you said, when they're on the range afterwards. You know, because from a viewer's perspective, you know, you don't have that insight into what's going on, what cognition's going on, what are they thinking about, what are they trying to achieve. So to a lot of people, you know, might just look like they're hitting a bunch of 7-irons or a bunch of wedges, but really they're trying to work on a specific shot with some context to what they're going to be experiencing when they're playing. And I know I did this actually with a player who was playing in the U.S. Women's Am. After the practice round, she was talking about a certain lie out of the rough that she couldn't figure out why everything kept going left. So we found a lie similar. We actually had to go and ask the event staff if we could hit balls out of the rough, because it was such a nice golf club. And they were like, yeah, you can do that. So we were like, great. So we went into the rough, and she found they have like 3 different types of rough. So she was like, okay, this is the rough, and it's this lie. And so we built a little, it was like a cool down circuit for after the practice round. And she did it after every round after that. But it was kind of a combination of wedge shots, some iron shots, a couple tee shots, and then a few shots out of the rough. And she just kind of went back and forth between those 4 stations, but very specific to what she had kind of been experiencing on the golf course and felt that she needed to kind of dial in before the round. And watching everybody else on the range, I mean, this is the thing that surprised me about the U.S. Women's Am was how young a lot of the girls were. Like a lot of college girls, but then high school. I think the youngest might have been, 12. So there were some like young girls there, and the difference in even like the college girls and stuff, what they were doing, you know, very much standing in one place, hitting irons. Not sure how, you know, what exactly they were trying to achieve, but it was cool to see, you know, our student that we've worked with moving around the range and just how specific it was.
And that's it. That's, you know, obviously that's the reason that we do this. We want to not necessarily just help people swing the golf club better or tell them what they have to do in their swing. We want to help them be specific and help them be more variable and more challenged in practice. And again, you know, when you talk about how specific people are, the one thing that I noticed about the player that I was working with, as he was going through his pre-shot routine, he was talking with the caddy, and the caddy did an exceptional job giving him information and being very concise in what he was relaying and very confident. But I started to notice that the player was starting to take his practice swing as the caddy and him were talking. Well, how can he start taking the practice swing when they haven't fully decided on the target or the shot or the shape?
Right.
So I felt like there might not have been the purpose to his practice swing. But, you know, you've got to be very careful with players at this level. You don't want to give them too much information. Sometimes less is more. So I had a conversation with his caddy and shared my observation. Without even saying anything to the player, the caddy then just put in a strategy that he was going to stand in his space until everything had been decided.
And then move out of the way.
Or he wouldn't have a club. He wouldn't let the player take a club, and then he would move out the way. Now, at the end of the round, we explained what we'd done, and the player was like, well, yeah, that was great because my practice swing became more purposeful, and actually I had a more deeper feel to take into the execution of the shot.
Right.
So 2 really good process goals emerged from almost like a constraint.
Right.
There was no explicit instruction given. The caddy just didn't allow him to take his practice swing until they had absolutely decided on the shot. And then what was great, the day of the tournament, the last 3 or 4 balls that they hit warming up was the first tee shot, the first approach shot, and the second tee shot, and the second approach shot, doing that, talking the routine out loud. Not only was the player getting ready, but the caddy was getting ready, and they were synergizing as a team. So again, and then a couple of the amateurs are just hitting balls and doing the opposite, worrying about the first tee shot.
Right.
So no, and I get it, it's amateur golf and they're there to have fun, but there will be amateur golfers that want to get better. And I wouldn't suggest doing every single one of these things. But what I would suggest is, if you listen to this podcast, how could you implement parts of this into your routine to help you perform to a higher level?
Mm-hmm.
So I think 3 key things for a listener is, when you do a practice round, don't play for score. Try and get the course to represent how it's going to play on that day. Take as much information down as where the ball has gone, and if you're going to miss the green, would the left side be the best side to chip? Would the right side be the best side? Put to different sections, get the breaks more. Just be a little bit more prepared by gathering. Yeah. Well, it's like a cheat sheet for an exam.
Yeah.
Open book exams were always easier than normal exams.
Well, it drives me crazy when you get a phone call from a student or a parent, and they tell you what they shot in the practice round.
It's terrible. And then so
don't ever call me and tell me what you shot in a practice round.
It's not good. So use the practice round to prepare. Be specific on the range after, and then on the day of the tournament, put some strategies in place again to get you prepared and to relax. Don't just beat balls. If that gives you some form of confidence, that's how you could start the warm up. But you've got to get into some, I guess we could call it game-like training, or something on the range that's going to represent what you're going to face, just so you feel a little bit more comfortable when you get out on that first tee.
Yeah. I think when you do the practice round, if there is something that you felt you struggled with, and it might just be like chipping around the greens out of the rough, like, don't just hope to figure it out tomorrow.
Yeah, no. Prepare. But I mean, that these guys are obviously professional.
Yeah.
And
but I think, any golfer at any level that's wanting to compete and play in any sort of tournament, if you're taking it serious enough that you're doing a practice round, like on a simple level, even if you're not really taking that many notes at the end of the round, okay, what did I kind of struggle with? Shots out of the rough, this tee shot, whatever, and go and spend a little bit of time kind of working on that area, I think, on just a basic level.
Agreed. If you're going to do it properly.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else?
No, I think it was interesting. Tyrrell Hatton was going for his 3rd win in a row. Mm-hmm. He's won that tournament back-to-back, and he was going for his 3rd win. And on the front 9, I think he made 4 birdies in a row, or 3 birdies in a row on the front 9 to storm into the lead. And I basically was like, okay, well, that's over. And he made 4 bogeys on the back 9 and lost by a shot, which was very surprising for me. So I don't know him. I just, we have a lot of information out there on outcome focus, and I just wonder if he got a little bit away from his processes and into outcome, or maybe he got a bit, as we would say, activated. He's a fiery character. But to be fair, I was hoping that he would close it out. To win the same tournament 3 years in a row would have been pretty cool. Spectacular. I'm sure he'll be back next year.
On a side note, did you see the interview he gave after the Ryder Cup? Somebody was asking him about the after party.
No, I didn't.
No.
Is it funny?
It's hilarious.
You can't share it.
I mean, I probably can. He did it on live TV, but basically the interviewer was asking him about his experience at the Ryder Cup after party, and he's like, to sum it up, he said, well, you know it's a great night when you wake up next to your toilet at 3 a.m.
Well, you always say, he's the guy who puts his FIFA
Yeah.
password
Follow him
online.
on social media, Throw Hatton. He's hilarious, and you can probably play FIFA against him. I haven't done that yet. I need to.
You would lose anyway.
I probably would.
You're not very good.
Not very good at FIFA. All right, cool. That it for you? Happy to be back.
Very happy.
Welcome back to headquarters. Trying to get yourself acclimated to the time change.
Yeah, I slept a lot yesterday. I'm feeling it. What is it now? 7, 8, 9. It's about midnight for me now.
Okay, you're doing fine.
I'll be back. Don't worry.
Awesome. Well, Ian, excited that we're doing this. Pumped about the topics and all the guests that we have to come. A lot of good shows in the works. And excited to get that to everybody listening or watching. To keep up to date with us and to subscribe, make sure you follow us on SoundCloud, like our social media channels. We're on Twitter at GLT Golf, Facebook Game Like Training Golf, or Instagram GL Training Golf. Everything we publish gets put out in some way, shape, or form on any of those platforms. And if you have not subscribed to our email list, make sure to do that. You can visit our website and get yourself an account, and then you will receive up-to-date news on podcasts or any of the education content that we have coming out. So let's see. Oh, we also have a YouTube channel, don't we? Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Isn't this on YouTube?
No, this is on the website
And YouTube.
and YouTube.
Yeah.
However
should
you're
probably
watching
say
this.
that.
What?
That this is going to be on YouTube, so we should probably give details of the YouTube channel.
If you're not watching this on YouTube, check it out on YouTube. Anyways, thanks, Ian. That was fun. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you leave any comments if there are any topics that you're interested in learning more about or would like to hear us discuss. Just leave a comment below, and we would be happy to do a show on that. Thanks.
Purposeful practice rounds.